we will shift over to Doris. She's going to speak to us about personality types. So I'll let you introduce yourself, and maybe you can include a little bit about your personality type and just kind of use that as the basis of the approach into coaching during this time.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. And yeah, my name is Doris Kolcaba. I'm originally from Germany. My husband is from Spain. We've been in the States together since 2007 in Texas and now in New York. We're based in Brooklyn. I am certified to facilitate a variety of personality type models, and I've done that for over a decade in leadership development and cross-cultural training. I've worked with expat couples before, so talk about a transition, right? And now I'm bringing that work to couples. So I've taken a little bit of a hiatus for a couple of years. So when I don't talk type, I actually teach calligraphy and lettering. I have a few classes on Skillshare as well. And knowing what my type preferences are, and knowing that I am in, approaching the midlife season of my life, that is actually the creative expression is actually a part of the type development. So yeah, I'm on record as saying that type knowledge saved my marriage, and my husband and I are very different, not just culturally, but also from a type perspective. And having a non-judgmental language and understanding that he is not trying to make my life miserable on purpose, it's literally just the way his brain is wired, has been very helpful for us. So yeah, those are the kinds of insights that I'm sharing with couples and with my clients now as well. What else can I tell you? So if actually for those of you who want to go visit my Instagram account, it's Your Love Profiles, sorry. The last post gives you an example of a love profile that I've done with clients before, and the process how we arrive at that profile, at that PDF that people can take home, is we have individual verification sessions where I speak with each partner individually for about an hour, hour and a half, to arrive at what your type preferences are. And this is the 4-letter, shorthand code that you might be familiar with from some questionnaire that you've taken online, but we're actually going about it in a little more scientific way and research-based way. And then once we have both partners' type preferences, we have a session together as a couple, and we discuss what's going on in the relationship, and I provide the clients with information how type comes to bear maybe on some of the issues. So this is not therapy. This would be an addition. I feel like it's very helpful information. It's quite practical also, because you really walk away with, well, this is how I like to process information, which means this is how I like to communicate. And obviously we tend to go through the world assuming everybody thinks like us and does things like us, because why wouldn't they, right? We're doing it that way. So obviously that's the best way. So everybody should be doing it our way. And then when they don't, and when we bump up against these things, it's like, hang on a second. Okay, so maybe I need to modulate my behavior. And then that's what the profiles do. They give you a strategy to say, well, if you're this way, but your partner is that way, then here's how to bridge the gap, so to speak.
Great. And maybe just to speak on the types a little bit more for those that are tuning in that are not familiar, is there like an overview you can offer? I know there are many types,
yeah,
but maybe just more of an overview.
Yes, absolutely. So for some people, this 4-letter thing is a bit of an alphabet soup. And another thing that I've prepared that also you can follow along, I've left it in the story highlights on the Your Love Profiles page. And what I thought might be helpful right now is what stresses us, how do we respond to the stress, and how can we get out of the stress? And there are 16 different personality types. I've grouped them into 4 interaction styles. If you want to read along, because this is going to be a lot of information, I encourage you to check that out on Instagram. But if you do know what your type preferences are, So the first group of 4 we're going to talk about is for ESTJ, ENTJ, ENFJ, and ESTP. The interaction style is known as in charge. So people with these personality type preferences are usually confident, capable, and are driven to accomplish results. So those are the kinds of people who love to get stuff done. And what stresses them then is when they have a feeling of not accomplishing anything. And I think a lot of us can, you know, that resonates. So when nothing gets done, that's kind of stressful. And then when we feel stressed, we tend to fight and then facilitate. So we might get bossy, we might, you know, get angry, we might jump at the people. And then if the stress is prolonged, we might actually check out and just be generally resentful. So if you have these preferences, or if you know somebody who kind of you know, behaves like this, what you can do to help yourself and help them is confronting the issue, talking about it, thinking about it, journaling about it, and maybe if you're trying to help somebody understand the underlying motivations, you know, assessing what actually does get done, because a lot of the times I feel like we don't give ourselves enough credit. So that's something that helps me, because I happen to be in this group. I like to make a list of things that I've already done, just so that I can check them off my list, and that gives me a sense of accomplishment, right? And then once I write all the things down, it's like, oh, you know what, I did get a lot done. And yes, you know, brushing my teeth does count, that kind of thing. The second group of people is the interaction style is called Get Things Going. And this is for people with ESFJ, ENTP, ENFP, and ESFP preferences. And these are the kinds of people that are usually gregarious. They like to be involved. They like to move things along. So these are probably, you know, with the other extroverts together, the people that kind of miss the social interaction the most. And they get stressed when they feel left out. They get stressed when they feel that they're not liked. And obviously there is a lot of opportunity for the feeling of being left out right now, because I think we've seen that as great as the video interaction is, it doesn't really account for a personal interaction. So when they're stressed, they tend to flurry and then focus. So they might feel scattered, they might feel panicky, they might get overly expressive. Before then flipping into selectively avoiding. And that's how you know somebody with Get Things Going preferences is stressed, if they are not trying to engage with anyone. And so you can help yourself or them by finding distractions. These are the kinds of people who love puzzles. Listen as they talk through things. Be an ear, like Landis said. Make appointments, make video calls, phone calls, and also express your own ideas and share your experience with them. And then we have people with behind the scenes preferences, getting into the introverts now, people with introversion. So behind the scenes would be ISFJ, INTP, INFP, and ISFP. People of these preferences are usually very open. They have an open energy, and they love integrating different pieces of information. So these are the kinds of people who are probably glued to the TV or wherever they get their news from, just to know everything about everything. They like all the information, and then they integrate it in their own minds, and they form models, and they're the ones that you can ask them anything and they will have an answer for it, and it'll be scientifically based because it's like a concept or a theory that they're familiar with. So they get stressed when there's not enough input, or when they are pressured to make a decision too quickly. And when stressed, they tend to freeze and then flow. So they might become outwardly quiet, but inwardly they're churning. They might seem agreeable, but it doesn't mean that they actually agree. They're just not engaging. And then you can help yourself or people of these preferences by finding a way to being helpful to others. So this is where, you know, setting up a clothing drive or a food drive, or just donating can be helpful, so that they have a sense of purpose and contribution. You want to be friendly, you want to be patient, you want to try and give them time to think through their thoughts, because they think before they speak, so you don't want to interrupt them. So this is going to be a conversation that probably has a lot of long silences in it, sit with that, try and be comfortable with that. And last but not least, people with chart the course preferences. These are ISTJ, INTJ, INFJ, and ISTP. People with these preferences are usually focused and planful and driven to see progress. And guess what? They love to anticipate things. So they are stressed when they don't know what's going to happen. And right now is really, really difficult for them and really, really stressful because nobody knows what's going to happen. And that's just very frustrating. And it's also frustrating for them when there is no concrete plan of action. You don't even have to follow the plan, but it would be nice to have a plan, right? So when stressed, these people with these preferences tend to flee and then face. So they're the first ones that will withdraw, not answer your phone calls, shut down. And then eventually they might be flipping into insistent involvement. And then those are, you know, when they overdo it, they get really stubborn and say, oh, but this is what we should be doing because, you know, this is the vision that I have. That's where we're going to go. So let's take care of that. So you can help yourself and others who have these preferences by taking time away, processing what you already know, planning for what you can plan, remaining calm, being direct and honest, straightforward in your communication, and you know, as much as possible letting them know what to expect. So this is, you know, where, and I think to an extent it's helpful for all of us, and to an extent we're at a place of, you know, the collective is grieving, like Landa said, the collective is stressed right now. So you probably might have found yourself in all of these items a little bit, and yeah, I hope those strategies were helpful.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was just sitting here listening. We're all nodding our heads to some, you know, to some degree, you know, it's relatable, of course, you know, all of our lives. And I think it's just whether we accept that or not, but if we do and want to, you know, move forward in finding, you know, our types, it's just a way for us to know our better self. And yeah, it's just to remind those that are tuning in, they can find out more about creating this love profile with you on your Instagram page, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and I will also invite people, because I know that, you know, funds are limited right now. I'm happy to offer, if you go to yourloveprofiles.com/contact, you can book free office hours with me and just have like a 20-minute session where we just chat, and then, you know, I can help people individually with what they might need and figure out what the situation is.
All right. Well, I think that was a lot to take in, but definitely needed. No, it was great.